Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and some awesome news has dropped here on the CA front. It's been really quiet on their end for quite some time, and now they drop with a bunch of information. Actually surprising to see it not sprouting a leak beforehand. But it's going to be a new pack that you can purchase, available October 20th, and it's called Warhammer, the King and the Warlord. So this content is kind of going to be like we saw previously in terms of it bringing new lords, quest chains, and whatnot. Actually, at the bottom there's a summary, 2 new additional lord types, 6 all new battlefield units, 22 regiments of renown. The story for this kind of focuses around Clan Angrund, which seeks to reclaim Karak Eight Peaks from the Grobby Despoilers. And this is actually Belegar, his quest to retake Karak Eight Peaks, and it's actually something that I mentioned in my Karak documentary video. I'll actually link that below if you guys want to check it out, where it discusses Karaks in general. But it's cool to see that CA's following up on this. So Belegar himself here is finally going to try and re-seize Karak Eight Peaks, which fell previously after successive natural disasters and invasions. And so he's going to have his own settlement, and basically that's, if you look at Border Princes, the purple settlement right there, territory, is actually where he gets his own unique position. Cool to see that he's just not going to be his own separate faction, or sorry, it's cool that he is his own separate faction. So that's confirmed. Same thing with the Greenskins. They're going to have their own separate faction. I believe it's the Crooked Moon. And then he has a bunch of campaign bonuses and things like that you can check out. And then Skarsnik here is the other one. So he's the warlord who's actually occupying Karak Eight Peaks. So he's a vicious melee fighter, and he actually comes with a squig. Now we're not quite sure actually if the squig is something that he rides, or if it's an additional unit that fights next to him, which would be really cool. Now, we did see some images of the campaign map where he's standing next to the squig as opposed to riding it, and people were saying that raises the chance that perhaps we're going to have, 2 units fighting together side by side within a single unit card, essentially. And that's going to open up a lot of cool stuff if they're able to pull that off for, I believe, their twin heroes in the future that we may be seeing. There's also new lords that are going to be coming out. So a rune lord that you can see here, that's awesome. So these are going to be more guys that have access to, it says here, they can unlock and ride the Anvil of Doom into battle, which is a unique chariot to empower the rune lord's runic abilities and increase damage resistance. And then for the greenskins, we have the Night Goblin War Boss. So he's going to have the ability to have great cave squigs, greater damage resistance, speed, and attack power. Some new units, going to be the Squig Herd, which is awesome. I really love these guys. People were moaning and groaning that they weren't in the initial release, but here they do come along, and they obviously look really awesome with the animations, the art assets, all looking great. And these are guys found in the caves of the World's Edge Mountains, and they're these beasts, part fungus, part flesh, with spheroid bodies, and they count here as anti-infantry with vanguard deployment. They're going to have razor sharp teeth, vicious forces, and they can actually be ridden by night goblin forces here. So you'll be seeing, and pardon the sirens again, I do live next to a hospital, but there's the night goblin squig hoppers here, cavalry, anti-infantry, vanguard deployment, and poison attack on top of it. You also now have these nasty skulkers as well, which are sneaky infantry, vanguard deployment, stalk, and armor piercing. These guys are supposed to be the sneakiest and stealthiest, I guess, of the goblins. And well, it's kind of hard to say they're sneaky considering in the gameplay that was shown, they're kind of charging straight up into the dwarves. You'd imagine they would be more used more for flanking operations, because in this engagement, yeah, those nasty skulkers are probably going to die in this time of engagement. You also have dwarf rangers, upgradable with great weapons. Their range / melee, they're actually fast for dwarves. They have vanguard deployment, and they can stalk. So these guys actually, in terms of the lore, are going to be kind of troops that operate deep into enemy territory. As rangers, they scout, they do ambushes, they do all kinds of stuff. They're armed with crossbows, and in the tabletop, very, very powerful troops, being elite forces with vanguard deployment as well. Bugman's Rangers are going to be another one that you can pick up. Not sure what else these guys have different, but let's see here. They're peerless rangers in their own right, though The unit never travels without the fortifying power of Bugsman's most potent brews. Such liquid fortification can transform their fighting abilities. So I guess they have the ability to pop, chug a beer, and we'll see what that does to them. Also, a new artillery piece for the dwarves, the bolt thrower here, field artillery, armor piercing. Always great to see more stuff added to the dwarven arsenal, and this shot here with the lighting and the metal on the bolt thrower is, God, that looks so good. The trailer itself I'm not showing here in full. Definitely check that out. They just up themselves with every single DLC trailer. Next, they do announce that there's going to be new unique building chains, both for Clan Angrand and the Crooked Moon Tribe. And these are going to be based out of the Karak Eight Peaks. So if basically in Karak Eight Peaks there's different benefits for the different people who own them. So if it's the dwarves, level 1 focuses on making Karak Eight Peaks more defensible, you get more stats. Level 2 focuses on rebuilding the Karak, more public order, and level 3 marks the recovery of ancestor tombs. And then you get equivalents for the greenskins. Also, new dwarf building chains, ranger outposts, tier 1 all the way up to ranger barracks tier 3 to allow you to have bugsman rangers at the top. New dwarf techs, vanguard proficiency, rat poison to reduce faction-wide corruption. And then for the greenskins, squig cages, a new tech, squig ride-in. So awesome to see that they continue to pile on more and more content onto this. And keep in mind, this is only going to be in addition to just the first Warhammer, but they did say in the future, Warhammer 2 and 3 presumably are all going to build on top of each other. So it's great to see this whole universe and game be built out. They also introduced, or maybe not introduced, they also announced that Regiments of Renown are going to be making a comeback. So in terms of the dwarfs here, you have a fair amount more elite rangers, hammerers, grudge thrower, a goblobber. The sky hammer is going to be interesting. It's a gyro bomber with even more bombs to it. Also, the Ekron miners have more ammo and frenzy. Iron Drakes and Iron Breakers are going to be great to see, and I do hope that the Slayers here, the Dragonback Slayers, do end up being cost effective, because at the time of the latest patch, just Slayers don't really cut it. Old Grumblers, also area of effect ally fatigue augment for the long periods. So the old Grumblers there obviously going to be helping out with their friendly forces. So that's pretty cool to see. Kind of egging on their troops. And yeah, I do find that the dwarves are a bit underused at the moment. Empire seems just so versatile that I hope this addition of more units is going to help the dwarves out. Greenskins do seem to be faring pretty well thus far. But we'll be seeing their roster here popping up relatively soon. And they do actually get more units overall than do get the dwarves. So what else can be said about here? Not too much. I guess let's pass on to the greenskins. So they get more, as I said. Knight Archers, Goblin Wolf Rider upgrades, Goblin Spider Riders, more Chariot upgrades, blah, 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 blah. The more interesting ones is going to be the Knight Goblin Squig Hoppers, so some upgrades to that. And the Knight Goblin Fanatics, Unbreakable, and they have Dwarf on a Chain. So as opposed to a spiked ball, it's going to be a dwarf flailing around. I do hope to see more emphasis put on the Goblin Fanatics. They haven't been seeming to do too much in the past. But one of my two favorite units here that it looks like Crimson Killers, Black Orcs, Anti-Infantry, Dual-Wielding Great Weapons, Area of Effect Attacks. Those guys are going to be brutal. And then at the bottom, the Venom Queen. It's an Arachnarok spider that can summon additional spider hatchlings into the battle. It's all those kinds of little creative things that I love to see more and more of. That is definitely a unique unit. And I assume it's just going to summon another small unit of spiderlings, somehow similar to the way vampires can summon like a zombie unit. I assume it's going to function very much the same. But that'll be cool to see. There's also some The Warlord's Boys, which are night goblins, kind of elite troops. Also, what you're going to be seeing in the images in the back are seemingly some more custom maps that they're rolling out with. This one looks very cool. It almost reminds me of Erebor. But yeah, this is sweet. And the proximity to Karak has me excited. I really hope that we see more interplay with the Karaks. Because right now, Karaks just don't play well. This is also another kind of underground seeming battle. Glad to see them fleshing this one out as well. The underground battles that we see currently are all kind of linear ones. So I'm excited to see more. Also, this is what I was referencing prior or beforehand in this video, talking about Skarsnik there with his squig, how they're side by side and he's not riding it. So that goes to perhaps the idea that in battle they'll be fighting side by side as opposed to being mounted as a single kind of fused unit. They're going to be two individual units, or at least that's what this indicates. So that'll be kind of cool. I wonder if they'll have any sweet combat animations together. And then also here, interestingly enough, they did mention that Belegar here does spawn on the campaign map with kind of some ethereal ancestors along next to him. That's going to be pretty cool. Not quite sure how this is going to work. See, they didn't talk too much about it, but I guess they're just going to be heroes with kind of ethereal traits onto them, and I do believe they will end up dying. They're not immortal. That would be a bit OP, but cool on CA to throw in kind of a twist to this this faction and this start. And then finally here at the end, CA did announce that there's going to be free LC as well paired with this. It's going to be Wozog. We'd heard about him a while ago. This is Wozog the Great Green Prophet, and so he has his own personal mount, the Warboar Spleen Ripa. He has buffs to Savage Orcs, reducing their costs, increasing their bonuses, and all that. He also has the effigy of Degit, a ragged doll, which he pricks with needles to pin enemy characters in place on the battlefield. So that is going to be an awesome ability, kind of like the Net of Amentok, which is going to be nice to see that type of ability spread around to other units and not just the Empire. He also has War Paint for extra physical resistance. So that's it. I hope you guys did enjoy this update. I know I've been a bit slow on videos, was kind of kicking back. But yeah, great to see CA with more stuff. See you in the next one.